What's up, guys? We are back with a massive NBA slate here on Friday, April 5th. The Thursday games haven't all finished. Things are looking a little tough for us right now. We saw the Kings give up a huge lead. We were on Sacramento plus 3.5. That did not come through. They were up by 21 points, ended up losing that game. Pretty embarrassing collapse there from them. Felt like nobody on the team cared about that game or could play basketball really more, except for Sabonis. We saw the Heat under come through. That was nice. Dallas minus 11 and the under in that game came through. And we got the Warriors minus 4, but the offensive output in that game was off the charts, so the under in that game did not hit. We got Denver and the Clippers still going on right now, and the Indiana State NIT championship game did not go our way. That was pretty unfortunate. Indiana was up by 7 or 9 points there close to the end of the game, and then just played some very tough possessions to end up losing that game straight up. We're going to wash this one out of the system. We've got a huge NBA slate to break down tonight with a bunch of value. Let's get after it. Hit that like button for good luck on all your bets today, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's 100% free, and we'll keep you up to date with our picks every day. Over 75% of viewers aren't subscribed, so get in here and show your support for these videos coming out every day. As always, we're sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list, and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're considering today. We'll give you the best intel we have, and we respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. We go over our leans in these videos, but you can find our final picks in the pinned comment down below, and we will update them as the games finish. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Oklahoma City Thunder going on the road to take on the Indiana Pacers. The Thunder come into this game fresh off a blowout loss, a 35-point loss at Boston. Right now, the main thing to worry about for the Thunder is their health. Currently, we see that SGA is still out. He's marked as out for this game. He's still got that ongoing quadriceps problem. He's not going to be playing in this game against the Pacers. Looking at Jalen Williams, he's doubtful for this game with an ankle issue, so we're going to see very much the B squad here for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're a fairly deep team, but what teams can really absorb the loss of 2 out of their 3 best players? That is not a very long list. In that loss to the Celtics, we saw all 5 Thunder starters scoring double figures, but that just was not enough. They only shot 20% from the 3-point range. They did get to the free throw line a lot, but that was just not enough for them in this game. They could not hang on the boards with the Celtics at all. I don't think they have to worry too much about the Pacers on the boards in this one. They're not as big of a rebounding team, but with Oklahoma City really not being at full strength in this game, they're going to have to rely a lot on Chet Holmgren. They're going to need Josh Giddey to do a lot of scoring, which he kind of did against the Celtics. He probably played the best out of anyone on the Thunder in that game. They're going to need Dort to do a lot better than his 0 of 5 from 3-point range. Just in general, the way for them to win games when they're shorthanded like this will be shooting the ball really, really well from the perimeter. They're not going to get a lot of rebounds with this lineup, I don't think, so yeah, they're going to have to shoot the ball really well if they want anything positive to happen. And they're playing a pretty good team in this one. They're going up against the Indiana Pacers, who are in a bounce-back spot coming off a very weak showing, losing by 4 points in Brooklyn in the second game of a little home-and-home series against the Nets. You win by 22 points one night, and then you lose the next night. That's not exactly how you would imagine those going. In terms of health, we see the Pacers are still looking at Miles Turner. They're hoping that finger issue can clear itself up pretty quick. He's technically questionable for this game. I'm a little bit concerned. Didn't really think he would sit that game out against the Nets, but he ended up being sidelined. Maybe that's the reason they came up so short in that game, but just in general, we're going to have to wait until close to game time to find out if he's actually going to be in there for this game. In that tough and very annoying, kind of embarrassing to me at least, loss to the Nets, we saw Siakam and Halliburton both play well. They both scored 24 and 26 points respectively, but other than that, things did not look very good for this team. We did see Toppin score 14 points coming off the bench. The bench actually looked fairly decent, but the other starters were just terrible. Naismith did not have a good game. Nembhard did not have a good game. They actually got out-rebounded by the Nets, which, not that the Pacers are a great rebounding team, but like, you want to be doing a little bit better than the Brooklyn Nets crashing the board. The Pacers didn't defend really well in this game. Obviously, that's not really their MO. They only had 9 turnovers in this game, and they still lost by 4 points to the Brooklyn Nets. Not exactly a great look. The spread in this game is the Pacers minus 4.5. The Thunder are 19-19-1 against the spread playing on the road. The Pacers are 20-16-2 against the spread when they're playing at home. They're the healthier team in this one. My lean is going to be the Pacers minus 4.5. We'll have to wait and see with so many games on the slate if this is going to be one of our bigger bets of the night, but our lean for sure is going to be the Pacers, whether or not Miles Turner comes back. Looking at the over-under for this game, we see it's a pretty big number. It's 235.5. We see that the Thunder are 22-16-1 to the over when playing on the road. We also see the Pacers are 22-16 to the over when playing at home. Definitely a couple of over teams. The concern in this one is SGA not being out there, and it looks very unlikely that Jalen Williams is going to be out there. I'm probably going to be leaning slightly towards the under in this game, but I don't know. I got to hear this injury news. Obviously, both those trends point to this being an over game. That's a lot of points. We have seen plenty of scoring, so maybe the over could be good. We're leaning towards the over in this game, at least a little bit. I'm not very convinced of this one. There's too many injuries for the Thunder for me to be sure that there's going to be a ton of points scored in this game, but the trends point to the over. We'll take a small taste of that over. Next up, we got two of the worst teams in the NBA facing off. We've got the Portland Trail Blazers taking on the Washington Wizards. Portland comes in this game fresh off an 89-86. Yeah, that's a final score, guys. Win over the Charlotte Hornets. Portland comes into this game. They are looking relatively healthy, or at least their version of health right now. We see Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant are both listed. Currently is out. Simons is confirmed out for this game. Jeremy Grant is officially doubtful, so I don't see any reason they'd be wanting to hustle back anyone as the Blazers just tank out the end of the season in that win over Charlotte. We actually saw Scoot Henderson score 22 points and DeAndre Ayton had a good game. Those are both encouraging trends for the Blazers, but they only shot 26.9% from three-point range, only got to the free throw line 12 times. They did dominate the boards in that game, so that's a little bit encouraging, but just in general, there's not a lot of incentive for this team to be winning games right now. The Washington Wizards come into this game fresh off of a very competitive 125-120 loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. Washington's been playing slightly better down the stretch here. We did see Kuzma playing that game against the Lakers, but right now he's listed as out for this game against the Trailblazers. It looks like the Wizards are doing the best they can to tank out the end of the season here. We do see Jordan Poole is healthy, but we don't expect Tyus Jones to go. Rashawn Holmes is officially questionable. This just seems like a competition of teams trying to tank out the hardest, trying to keep as many of their players out of the starting lineup as they possibly can. Looking at the spread in this game, it's currently the Washington Wizards minus 2 points. Portland is 20-18 against the spread playing the road. Washington is the second worst team in the league, going 14-24-1 against the spread at home. Guys, this is a really tough one. I actually think that we slightly lean towards the Portland Trailblazers in this game, but if you're betting this one, you have a lot stronger stomach than me. Looking at the over-under in this game, it's currently at 220.5. Both of these teams are basically 50-50 over-under teams. I tend to look at the over slightly with two terrible teams playing against each other, but with how little offense Portland is able to put out there, I'm not really sure. Maybe give me a slight lean to the under in this game, but we're not going to be on the over-under or really the against the spread number in this game. Too many injuries and too much mediocrity from these two teams. Next up, we've got the Orlando Magic going on the road to take on the Charlotte Hornets. Orlando comes in this game fresh off a third straight win. They took down the Pelicans. They went on the road into New Orleans and got a solid win. The Magic are very healthy coming into this game. Having a clean bill of health at this point in the season is really like a cheat code right now, and Orlando definitely has that. They find themselves sitting in the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're only a half game back of Cleveland and 2 games back from the Milwaukee Bucks for that 2 seed, so they're very much live to move up the standings here, and they have a good chance to get an easy win going against a terrible opponent. The Charlotte Hornets come into this game. They lost 4 straight. They just lost in a terrible showing against the Portland Trail Blazers in a game where they only scored 86 points. Charlotte is not healthy at all. They have 4 out of their 5 starters listed as day-to-day. No real way to tell who's going to be out there on the floor for this team. I don't think it's going to be a very solid starting lineup. Currently, the spread for this game is the Charlotte Hornets plus 11.5. We see Orlando is one of the best teams against the spread on the road this season. They're 23-14 against the spread playing away from home. Charlotte is only 17-21 against the spread at home, and they're seemingly going to hold most of their starting caliber NBA players out of this game. We're going to go with Orlando minus 11.5 in this one. I think they find a way to get a comfortable win and cover in this game. I don't think Charlotte is going to score very many points in this one. The over-under is at 205.5. There aren't any significant trends in the over-under for this one. Maybe give me a slight taste of the under, as I think Charlotte is going to struggle so hard to score points in this game, but we're really going to be on the Magic against the spread in this one. Give me Orlando minus 11.5. Next up, we have the Sacramento Kings, fresh off that collapse at Madison Square Garden. They're going to make the short trip, playing on back-to-back nights, heading to Boston to take on the Celtics. The Kings come into this game. I expect them to be relatively healthy. There weren't any injuries there at the end of their game against the Knicks. Just a lot of very mediocre play. Malik Monk being out is definitely a big concern for this team. They lack his shooting coming off the bench and just his general playmaking overall. De'Aaron Fox has to do even more, and when he's not out there, the load falls on Sabonis, and there are really no guards out there that can make any plays or score the ball except for Fox. In the loss to the Knicks, the Kings just went absolutely ice cold from long range. Late in the game, they just couldn't knock down a shot, which is pretty crazy considering the fact they ended the game going 42.9% from three-point range, making 18 threes, and they still managed to convincingly lose this game. The Kings got edged out on the boards in this one. They had 16 turnovers in this game. Just in general, this team is not impressing me right now. A complete turnaround now that Malik Monk is out. They got that little bump where guys seemed like they were going to step up and make up for his absence, but that is not what's happening right now, and that's pretty detrimental for the Kings. Right now, they're sitting in the 8 seed. They're a game back of the Suns and 2 games back of the Mavs in that race to get into the 6th or 5 seed in the Western Conference and avoid that play-in tournament. It's going to be a very tough thing for the Kings to avoid right now, especially with this tough opponent coming up, the Boston Celtics. The Celtics come into this game fresh off a 3rd straight win. They won by 35 points over the skeleton crew of the Oklahoma City Thunder their last time out. Boston really doesn't have anything to play for right now. They're currently sitting in the top spot in the Eastern Conference. In terms of health, we see that the Celtics have both Derek White and Jaylen Brown listed as day-to-day. Derek White is officially questionable for this game. He's got a lower back contusion, and Jaylen Brown is dealing with his hand thing. It's an ongoing issue. He's technically questionable. There's really no reason for the Celtics to be hustling these players back. Might as well get them healthy because Boston is sitting in the top spot in the Eastern Conference with a 13-game cushion over the Milwaukee Bucks. Looking at the spread in this game, we see that the Celtics are -8.5. The Kings are a very good team against the spread on the road. They're 22-14 against the spread playing away from home, but they're only 4-9 against the spread on no rest. We see Boston as a solid home team. They're 21-15 against the spread at home. Guys, I know things have been weird lately, but definitely give me Boston -8.5. Even if Jaylen Brown doesn't play, I think they find a way to get a comfortable win and cover. Even though they're going against a Kings team that is in a bounce back spot, the Kings just aren't very good playing on no rest, and they're really missing Malik Monk. Looking at the over-under in this game, we see that's at 223.5. That seems a little bit low to me, but the Kings are 22-14-2 to the under when playing on the road. They're 8-5 to the under on no rest, and we see Boston as a 50-50 over-under team when playing at home. I guess give me a taste of the under, guys, with the Kings going to be tired here playing on back-to-back nights. They just had a very hot shooting game and lost anyway. Are they going to shoot the ball that well 2 nights in a row? I kind of tend to doubt it, especially De'Aaron Fox. He had a really good shooting night. He does not normally shoot the ball that well from deep. So give me the Celtics -8.5, and if you want to throw a taste in the under in there, that's okay with me. Next up, we have the Toronto Raptors going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. Toronto comes into this game fresh off a 15th straight loss. They have not really been healthy over this span, and there's no reason to really think they're going to try and be healthy. They're trying to lose games right now, and they're getting really, really good at it. We see that RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley are both likely to play in this game. That's kind of interesting. I would have thought they would just go ahead and hold those guys out for the year, but they seem to be working both of them kind of back into the lineup, getting them some minutes. They could use the experience, I suppose, although RJ Barrett seems closer to a veteran than a rookie at this point, but whatever. I guess the Bucks are just trying to throw him out there. Maybe they're getting calls from the league about this tanking becoming too egregious. Regardless, this team is not in a good spot whatsoever. We see Gary Trent Jr. and Bruce Brown are both listed as questionable for this game. I do think there's a very solid chance that neither one of them play. That's going to leave this team, I guess, shorthanded, but it's kind of hard to know whether you should call them shorthanded or not. This is not a team that is trying to win games, and it's not a team that's trying to put their best players on the floor. They're going up against the Milwaukee Bucks team, who really is going to have to fight here at the end of the season. They've got the Cavaliers and the Orlando Magic and the New York Knicks all right there competing for that second spot in the Eastern Conference. That's a very big deal. You're going to want to avoid playing the Celtics as long as you possibly can in the playoffs. And Milwaukee, I don't know, guys. They do come into this game fresh off of a 10-point loss, playing at home to the Memphis Grizzlies. I know it wasn't the full strength Bucks. They didn't have Dame and they didn't have Chris Middleton in that game, but my God, you can't be losing games to the Memphis Grizzlies. It's just not acceptable, especially at this point in the season. We do see that Middleton is likely to be back for this game. Patrick Beverley is questionable with his ankle issue. I think there's some chance that we see him play in this game. Dame is also questionable. I think there's a solid chance he sits this game out, though. You don't want to mess around with a groin injury at this point in the season. Most importantly for the Bucks, we see that Giannis is questionable to play in this game. We're going to need clarity on whether or not he's going to be out there. Right now, we see the spread in this game is Milwaukee -17, so that seems to indicate to me that Giannis is probably going to be out there. This is way too big of a number, guys. I hate these huge spreads. If you're forcing me to bet this game, I guess give me a little taste of Milwaukee, but not if Quickley and RJ Barrett are both playing. It's really hard to tell. The Toronto Raptors are really good at losing games right now. This is just too big of a spread for me to be very interested in it, especially with no clarity on who the Bucks are actually going to have out there on the floor to start this game. Looking at the over-under in this one, it's currently at 224.5. We see that the Raptors are a league best 23-13-1 to the over when they're playing on the road. We also see Milwaukee, they're an over team when playing at home. They're 21-16 to the over on their home court. So as long as we see Giannis play in this game, I think there's a decent chance we could be on the over in this one, but that's a kind of a hard sell because we could see Toronto come out and score almost no points in this game because they're just so bad right now. Not interested in the 17, and I'm really not that interested in the over-under either. This game is kind of a dumpster fire. Once we find out who all is active, though, we could give it a second look. Next up, we've got the New York Knicks going on the road to take on the Chicago Bulls. The Knicks come into this game fresh off of that big come-from-behind win over the Sacramento Kings. We did see Mitchell Robinson play in that game. Obviously, we're not going to see Julius Randle for the rest of the season after that news broke about his season-ending surgery. OG Anunoby stayed out for the game against the Kings. There's really no reason to expect him. He's going to be ready for this game against the Bulls. Other than that, though, the Knicks seem to be very likely to have their normal complement of starters, or at least who they're used to having available at this point in the season, ready to go, with the addition of Mitchell Robinson, who played really well. I guess there's some chance they could sit him out on the second half of a back-to-back, so keep an eye on that injury report. I don't think that's going to be a huge difference maker, though, but they're going up against a solid opponent in the Chicago Bulls. Chicago comes in this game fresh off of a 12-point loss. Playing on back-to-back nights, they lost by 12 points to the Atlanta Hawks. The Bulls are currently sitting in the 9 seed in the East. They're a half game up on the Hawks, so they're definitely going to want to hold on to that 9 seed. There's no way they're going to catch the Philadelphia 76ers, but having home court advantage in that play-in tournament can be pretty nice, at least for one round. Looking at the injury report, we see that the Bulls are almost fully healthy. The only player that could end up missing this game is Torrey Craig, but he's actually listed as probable, so I think there's a very, very good chance we're going to see the Bulls at 100% strength for this game. They've been having a bit of a hard time lately. They've lost 5 out of their last 7 overall, but their wins were over the Pacers and the Timberwolves. This is a squad that feels like they kind of play up or down to the level of their competition right now, and the Knicks would definitely be a step up. This would be a spot for the Bulls to play up to the level of their opponent. Chicago is minus 1.5 in this game. We see the Knicks are 19, 16, and 2 against the spread playing on the road. Not too bad, but they're only 4 and 7 against the spread playing on no rest, which is definitely their situation in this one. That was a maximum effort game against the Sacramento Kings. Chicago comes into this one. They're 17, 21, and 1 against the spread playing at home. Not exactly a great number. In the season series between these two teams, we saw the Knicks got a 16-point win back in January. They're about to play 3 games very, very close together. Those teams are going to get very well acquainted. It'll be interesting to see how this first game of this close little cluster of games goes. It's kind of hard to get a great read on it. My lean is definitely the Bulls minus 1.5 right now, just based on the fact that the Knicks are going to be exhausted. They played a ton of minutes. They played very, very hard to get that come-from-behind win over the Kings, and now they're going to have to play on back-to-back nights, and they're going to have to travel. Obviously, it's not a long trip necessarily from New York to Chicago, but it's something of a trip nonetheless. Looking at the over-under in this game, it's a very small number. It's only 211.5. We see that the Knicks are 19 and 18 to the over on the road, and they're 7-4 to the under, playing on no rest. We also see that Chicago is 20 and 19 to the over at home. This is a very small number, guys. Both of these teams can score it a little bit. Obviously, they both play some solid defense. I tend to look towards the over in this one, but I don't think it's going to be a huge bet for us. Next up, we've got the Miami Heat going on the road to take on the Houston Rockets. Miami comes in this game fresh off of a tough loss to the Philadelphia 76ers. Health, as always, is the main consideration for Miami, as they really just seem to cruise through the regular season and get ready to go absolutely crazy in the playoffs. The Heat lost to the 76ers 109 to 105 their last time out. The Heat are relatively healthy coming into this game. They're healthy going into that one as well. I just don't think they were ready for the Joel Embiid experience, and he got every single call he needed. We also saw the Heat struggle shooting the ball from long distance. They shot only 30% from 3, going 13 of 43 overall. They did manage to out-rebound the 76ers, which is a positive development, but the Heat had 15 turnovers. That's not really their style. That's not going to end well. We saw Rozier have a big game shooting the ball, but if he's going to be their leading scorer, it's going to be kind of a tough look. We need Bam to do a little bit better. He had his hands full dealing with Embiid. He actually posted a terrible plus-minus of -29 in that game, so not a great look for the Heat coming into this game. They're going to be in a bounce-back spot going against the Houston Rockets, who just had their season effectively ended by the Golden State Warriors. Houston just went on a little 3-game losing streak with this loss to the Mavs, loss to the Timberwolves, and a loss to the Golden State Warriors. We kind of assumed that the Rockets would be relatively healthy for this game, but they could also end up resting guys as their season is effectively ended. They're now 4 games back of the Warriors, and while it was definitely impressive watching this team go on that little run, there's plenty of reason to hope for the future, but that future, like we were saying the other night, is just not going to happen right now. The spread in this game is currently Houston plus 1.5. The Rockets are a league best 26, 11, and 1 against the spread at home. They're 7, 4, and 1 against the spread on no rest, but I think this is a very tough spot for them. I think they're going to be pretty depressed after that loss. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out in this game, whether they're going to be playing with revenge on their mind, or if they're just going to be ready to give up and ready for this season to end. My guess is that it'll kind of be the latter in that one. We're looking at the Heat in this one. They're a very good road team. They're only minus 1.5 in this game. My lean is definitely the Miami Heat right now. Looking at the over-under in this game, it's 214.5. We see Miami is a big under team when playing on the road. They're 27 and 11 to the under when playing away from home. We do see that Houston, there are no major trends for them against the over-under, so give me a slight taste of the under in this game, as well as the Miami Heat to find a way to win by more than 1.5. Next up, we've got the San Antonio Spurs going on the road to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. San Antonio comes to this game fresh off back-to-back losses, but man, those are some pretty good losses, keeping things very close against the Nuggets and very close against the Warriors. Wembanyama has been playing absolutely out of his mind. This team is relatively healthy, given that they've had some season-ending injuries and stuff like that, but the group that's been keeping these games close is pretty much ready to go, and the basically only member of this group that makes any difference at all is Victor Wembanyama. He's playing absolutely out of his mind right now. Dude is an alien, and he is playing like one. Looking absolutely insane out there every single night. In the game against the Nuggets, we saw him have a staggering amount of blocks. I think he had like 9 blocks in that game, 15 rebounds, 23 points. He was just looking amazing out there. He was the reason this game was close and nobody else on the roster. It's going to be very exciting to see what he can do with some real pieces around him, hopefully next season. They're going up against the New Orleans Pelicans in this game. New Orleans comes into this one fresh off of a 3rd straight loss. That's pretty embarrassing. We also see Zion is listed as day-to-day due to a sore finger. I've watched Zion play basketball, and I'm assuming most of you guys have too, and I don't think one little sore finger is really going to make too big of a difference for someone who's going to drive to the basket every time and then try and finish with his left hand. Like, I guess if his left hand's broken, that would be tough, but if you just have a sore finger, I think this is the time of the season to maybe be gutting things out, especially when your team is sitting in the 7th seed in the Western Conference. They need to get into that 6th seed or that 5 seed, get their way out of the play-in tournament. You don't want to be involved in a play-in tournament that's going to have Steph Curry, LeBron James, and De'Aaron Fox in it. That is going to be trouble. It could also be a play-in tournament that includes the Phoenix Suns or the Dallas Mavericks. That all sounds pretty scary. If you can avoid that, you need to go ahead and do so, even if that means playing through a sore finger. The Pelicans are healthy aside from Zion and aside from Jose Alvarado. That's not really a big deal. I think we expect Zion to play in this game. Maybe that'll hurt his effectiveness a little bit, although, my God, like, I would think that he'd be okay, but you never really know. It's a weird time of the year in the NBA, that's for sure. We see the Pelicans come into this game minus 10.5. San Antonio is 20-18 against the spread on the road. We see the Pelicans are 20-18 against the spread at home. If Victor Wembanyama is playing this game, I think 10.5 points is too much. Give me the San Antonio Spurs in this one. I like them a lot in this game. I think Wemby finds a way to keep things close. There's really nobody on the Spurs and nobody in the league, it doesn't feel like right now, that can guard him or deal with what he can do on the defensive end. Looking at the over-under in this game, we see it's at 221.5. We see that the Spurs are 20-16-2 to the under when playing on the road. We also see the Pelicans are 20-18 to the under at home. Those aren't huge trends, don't get me wrong, but I think maybe we'll take a slight taste of the under, but we definitely want San Antonio plus 10.5. Next up, we've got the Golden State Warriors going on the road to take on the Dallas Mavericks. Golden State comes into this game fresh off that big emotional win last night over the Houston Rockets. The Warriors have now won 6 straight games. They're playing some of their best ball of the season coming into this tough game. This is a rematch of a game that just happened a couple of days ago. We saw the Warriors come away with a 104-100 win, with the Mavs really falling apart down the stretch in that game. Golden State did not have Kuminga out there for that game against the Rockets, but they did not need him. We see Andrew Wiggins is listed as day-to-day right now. We see Kuminga is still listed as out. I think there's a very decent chance that he could be out of this game against the Mavericks, and Wiggins tweaked his ankle, so I think he's very likely to be out of this game as well. He tweaked his ankle in that win over the Rockets, so that's why I think he'll definitely be sitting this one out, and there's not a ton for the Warriors to be gained right now. They are only 1.5 games back of the Lakers, but it seems fairly unlikely to me that they're going to be catching the Lakers, although it's not impossible. Like, it could happen. The Lakers aren't looking that dominant right now, but just in general, these two teams have turned it on at the right time, and they are moving up the standings. The Mavs come into this game fresh off of a dominant win over the Atlanta Hawks last night, so both these teams are going to be on no rest in this one. Looking at the Mavs injury report, it looks like they should be pretty healthy, with the exceptions of Josh Green and Derek Lively this second. In the win over the Hawks, we saw Luka play 37 minutes. We saw Kyrie play 35. Those are kind of heavy minutes loads, heavier than I would have thought they would need to have going against a weak Hawks team, but that's what they did. That's how long they had him out there. Jason Kidd wasn't pulling him too early, so I guess we're going to see a relatively tired Kyrie and a relatively tired Luka in this game. We see the spread in this game is the Mavs minus 5.5. Golden State could definitely be taking their foot off the pedal in this one, but they are league best 25-12 against the spread on the road. They're also 9-5-1 against the spread on no rest. We see the Mavs are 18-19 against the spread at home and 9-3 against the spread on no rest. I think the Warriors are actually locked in right now. I think they're going to be trying to catch the Lakers. I don't think they're going to take their feet off the gas too hard in this game. It is a concern that Wiggins is probably going to be out. If we see Kuminga come back in in this game, though, we're definitely going to be on the Warriors, plus 5.5. The Mavs had a hard time with them the other night. They had a hard time shooting the ball in that game. Give me the Warriors and the points in this one, I think, and I especially think so if Kuminga's going to be out there. Looking at the over-under in this game, we see it's at 228.5. Golden State is 22-15 to the under when playing on the road. We also see that Dallas is 23-15 to the under and 6-5-1 to the over on no rest. So that's not a big trend there on the no rest thing. I think we lean towards the under in this game. There was definitely be an under spot the last time these two played, and they're both going to be tired for this game, so I think the under is a very good spot in this game. In the last game we're looking at tonight, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves going on the road to take on the Phoenix Suns. Timberwolves come into this game fresh off an absolute demolition of the hapless and extremely hard tanking Toronto Raptors. Minnesota is fully healthy for this game. Obviously, Cat's not back, and there's optimism he could be back before the end of the season, but that was news that just came out 2 days ago, so I guess he's doing really well, but the end of the season is looming, and I don't really see any point in rushing him back. I don't even really know if you'd want to rush him back until maybe the second round of the playoffs or something like that. I don't know. That would give him maximum time to be rested and ready to go. But regardless, the Timberwolves are playing really well right now. They've won 6 of their last 7 overall. There were some solid wins mixed in there. Win over Denver, win over the Golden State Warriors, a win over the Cleveland Cavaliers, although how solid that win is kind of up for debate at this point. When Anthony Edwards is healthy and playing well, this team is going to be extremely hard to stop. They're taking on a Phoenix Suns team that's playing a bit better right now. They just blew out the Cleveland Cavaliers. Before that, they won against the New Orleans Pelicans. The game before that, though, they did lose to the Thunder, so they're not a team without any issues. Obviously, this team has had plenty of problems all season long. We see Grayson Allen and Yusuf Nurkic are both on the injury report. We see Grayson Allen is probable for this game with his hip issue. We see that Nurkic is questionable with left calf soreness. Now would be the classic time for Nurkic to go down for the season and just leave his team stranded without a big man. Hopefully that doesn't happen. You're never rooting for somebody to get injured, but that would just be the classic story. The Suns have their big three healthy. The idea is that they're going to be a dominant team when they've got Booker, Beal, and Kevin Durant out there. But I don't know, guys. This is a team that's having to play Bol meaning for minutes, and as much as I love watching Bol out there play, and it looks absolutely insane to see him out there running up and down the floor and just shooting threes and doing all the things that he does, I don't think that's a great sign for their depth overall. We see that the Phoenix Suns are -3 in this game. They're only 15-22-1 against the spread when playing at home. The Timberwolves are 21-17 against the spread playing on the road. I do feel like Phoenix should be the more desperate team. Right now we see the Timberwolves are going to be a half game back of the Nuggets if the Nuggets can finish off this game against the Clippers. That is yet to be seen, but the Timberwolves could be the top spot in the Western Conference going into this game, so they're going to be pretty desperate for this win as well. I think I'm leaning towards the Timberwolves +3 in this one, despite the fact they're playing on the road. They're not a bad road team. The Suns are not a great home team, so I think that could be okay. Obviously, defending Booker, Durant, and Beal can be a tough ask, though. Looking at the over-under in this game, we see it's at 219.5. The Timberwolves are 21-17 to the over when playing on the road. We see the Suns are almost an identical 20-17-1 to the under when playing at home, though. I think there could be a decent amount of offense in this game. The Timberwolves are a good defensive team, though, so the over-under isn't really something I'm looking to get too tangled up in this one. That's all the games we have here for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all your bets, and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description and check out somethethespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.